What is going on, guys? So I am back today to do another fun little just like topic video, which I've been really enjoying doing these. It's a way for me to just kind of talk about things openly in a less like formal review style. And so not too long ago I did a video where I read half-star reviews of my favorite films. And it was a lot of fun to just kind of get some of your reactions to that and just to kind of hear what people have to say. And my buddy Colin actually asked if I would do a video reading five-star reviews of movies that I absolutely despise. So not too long ago, I did a video talking about some of the worst movies that I personally have ever seen. So I took all of those films and I'm going to read five-star reviews of these movies that I personally, I believe, have given all a half or 1 star to, movies that I genuinely despise. So without further ado, let's read some trash. Here we go. So first up, we have the film Dashcam, which, as most of you know out there, is a found footage film that lets an extreme right-wing lunatic spew their garbage politics while also being just a horrible found footage film that adds nothing new to the genre. It was pointless. It was mediocre. It's one of my most hated films of all time. But this person gave it 5 stars. And they said, each time I watch this, my politics shift slightly. That is horrifying. Not only that this garbage found footage film is swaying you politically, but also that you've watched it more than once. And I really just have no words for that whatsoever. Get help. That's really the only 2 words that I can say to you are get help, because this is also a terrible movie, but it also has terrible politics behind it. So please, for the love of God, don't let some pointless found footage movie sway you on politics that can negatively affect and harm people's lives. On to the next one. So up next is the film Lemon, which I discussed. I like Janixa Bravo. I think she's a really incredible human being who has a lot of positive things to say about film. Her movies are just not my favorite, but this person really enjoyed Lemon, gave it 5 stars, and they said, I guess I'm the only person who likes this movie. Fuck it. This movie was made for me and no one else. And I will 100% agree with you on that. This movie clearly was made for just you and no one else whatsoever. I can totally understand that maybe this was made for a very niche audience. Maybe you were like friends with the producer or like the assistant director and you kind of were in on the inside joke. But like for this movie being like an hour and a half, it was so bland. None of the humor hit. And I like weird, dry humor. And this was just like not even that. There wasn't even a moment in this that made me chuckle even in the slightest, which is unfortunate because I like weird, abstract comedy, and this just did not do it. But I'm glad I did it for you, and I'm glad that Janixa Bravo had you specifically in mind. Also, this Letterboxd user has Rich Evans from Red Letter Media in their icon, so I respect the hell out of you for that, even if I don't agree with you on this movie. Up next, from a director that you all know that I love out there, Mr. Kevin Smith, we're going to be talking about Tusk, a movie that I hate even thinking about or speaking into existence. My co-host of my podcast, Ray, jokes with me about this movie all the time because he knows how much I hate it. But this person loved it, gave it 5 stars, and said, absolutely amazing, would not recommend. And 100% I agree with you on the second part. I would not recommend this movie to anyone. It is a miserable experience with characters that are all completely unlikable. The twist reveal of what's going on in the movie, while the practical effects were really well done, is just so miserable to get through. I hate the dialogue Kevin Smith writes in his movies. I try so hard, but it's just like, it comes across as like edgy teenager in every single movie. And I'm like, aren't we past this? Can't we write just like intelligent dialogue or just go off the rails and make it really stupid in a way that like I love dumb schlock comedies, but this just falls into I don't know what it was going for. And my God, he's trying to make a 3rd one in his trilogy. Please don't give him the money for it. I don't want to have to hear about it. Up next is going to be the film Epic Movie. There were a ton of these movies made. Epic Movie, Disaster Movie, Date Movie, all spawning from Scary Movie, which I actually enjoy films in the Scary Movie franchise. But these films are just like nostalgia bait point at a specific period in time and say, you remember that person, you remember that person. There's not really any humor involved. It's just like, hey, do you remember that thing? Similar to what Kathleen Kennedy is currently doing with the Star Wars franchise. Hey, you remember that? Enjoy it. It's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of these offshoot movies. They're miserable. They're really hard to get through. This person gave it 5 stars. I'm assuming that this is a shitpost, but regardless, I'm going to read it. Challenges the narrative construction of contemporary Hollywood cinema through a unique and audacious lens. I'm sweating profusely. Now, what I will say is I do agree with you. It does challenge the narrative construction of contemporary Hollywood. You're getting something that's very different, which is that you're getting a lot of referential. It's very much Family Guy. If you think Family Guy is something that challenges conventional narrative structure, where Family Guy is very much the humor in that show is just, hey, look at that thing. Isn't it silly when we put this person in this extreme situation? Rather than writing a joke, it's just putting someone who you wouldn't expect in a situation that you wouldn't expect. And that's what these movies are. It's just like, hey, remember Pam Anderson? Here's her getting crushed by a giant boulder. Isn't that funny? And if that's what you like, then give this movie 5 stars. I 100% pat you on the back for that one. Up next, a movie that I did admit that I did not finish. That is Addicted to Fresno, a movie that I found so miserable and borderline offensive in a way that I don't know if the filmmaker realized how offensive they were being towards multiple groups of people throughout the beginning of the movie. Obviously, as I said, I never finished it. But this person gave it 5 stars and says, is this a perfect movie? No. But is this the perfect movie? Yes. Well, I'm glad it was the perfect movie for you. For me, it was a waste of 25 minutes of my life that I shut off because of how miserable and offensive that it felt towards groups of people. And I know that there was a period in our history where offensive comedy was considered edgy. And I'm not someone who really appreciates that unless it's done in a very nuanced manner, kind of poking fun at our societal structure. There's a way to make things that are edgier, that might kind of like poke at someone a little bit in a way that ruffles their feathers. For instance, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who write South Park, do a very good job of sort of doing these really overt, ridiculous things to kind of poke fun at how idiotic our society is, but it's done in a nuanced enough way that like it works. That movie did it in a way that made me feel kind of bad, and I was not all for it. So that's not a movie I'll ever revisit, but I'm glad that you got something out of it. Let's move on to the next one. Up next is Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill. This is a decent size review, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. This person was watching a bunch of Adam Sandler movies. Wow, I see the acclaim. The film is amazing. Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't compare to the phenomenal double performance Adam Sandler gives. The film has amazing direction. Dugan is everything I love about PTA and any other director times 2. There's style and there's hella great direction in this piece. Cinematography, editing, score, production, design, costume design, everything in this film is perfect. This is the best film you will ever watch. It is a fucking masterpiece. Infinity out of 10. Well, that is the greatest shitpost I think I've ever read, and I appreciate you for comparing Dennis Dugan to Paul Thomas Anderson. But yeah, it's hard to find serious 5-star reviews of Jack and Jill. They're all shitposts, and as it should be, because the movie's terrible. I mean, like, Adam Sandler is an anomaly of a human being because he seems to be this really likable, cool guy that you'd want to spend time with, who is a really fucking talented actor that when given to the right director to give a performance, he really delivers. He does a phenomenal job. But for some reason in his mind, he feels like he's got to put out these really garbage pieces of cinema that I never will understand other than just the quick cash grab. And that's unfortunate because if he spent more time at making crap that actually mattered, we would get more masterpieces like Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love. But instead, we have a lot of Jack and Jills out there in the ether, and that's just upsetting. Up next is M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender. I talked about my disdain reason for this. This person clearly enjoyed it, or it's a great shit post. The TV series is so trash. At least this one has objectively great writing. That's really funny. Yeah, this is some of the worst writing I've ever seen in a movie. It did not understand the tone or the mood of the television show at all. The casting was terrible. Even like the cinematography and the lighting in this is just really bad. It was so bland. I saw it in the theater. Wish I never would have watched it. Just watch the TV series. There's no reason at all to ever put yourself through this misery. Up next is Baz Luhrmann's The Great Gatsby. As many of you out there know, I'm not a fan of Baz Luhrmann, not a fan of his Great Gatsby rendition. This says, one of the first movies that I ever cried to. Well, I can tell you this. It is a movie I cried to for its sheer existence. I cried because F. Scott Fitzgerald was rolling in his grave at how garbage this adaptation of his work is. I hate this movie. I think Baz Luhrmann is like a self-indulgent moron that consistently puts out the same crap quality movies over and over and over again. Like, I get it. You like style. You like a lot of quick, fast-paced editing to mash up rap songs that you can put in a movie about the 1920s or even about Elvis's life. I just don't understand the appeal of Baz Luhrmann. It's like, to me, it's like the same thing as putting on like a children's show for toddlers. It's like people that really want to watch like a lot of really quick images in front of their face with no emotional connection or real story or narrative structure. It's just like visual assault, which there's often a lot of times in surrealist cinema that there's like really great, movies that are just kind of an assortment of images that convey some type of feeling or some type of strong emotion. But the only strong emotion a Baz Luhrmann film has ever made me feel is the urge to throw up. Let's move on. Up next is the film The Birth of a Nation, the most racist film ever made, more than likely. There might be something more racist out there, but this is the one in film school that they constantly told us invented all these different techniques when it comes to camera movements and blah, 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 blah. I hate it. I wish we quit talking about it. These things are already created. I don't think there's any reason for us to keep discussing it, but this person gave it 5 stars and said, I was born in the wrong generation. Well, I don't even know if I want to talk about this one, because this is this is an indication of one or two things. Either one, you said you were born in the wrong generation as you are a horrible racist and you wish that you could continue to be a horrible racist in a way that's like more overt than even people in our society now. Or you were referencing the filmmaking techniques of D.W. Griffith, which I hope that it was the second one. If it was the first one, please seek help and do some self-reflection and realize that you're thinking very incorrectly, and may whatever deity exists have mercy on your soul. Or not. You're probably just a bad person. Who knows? I'm hoping this is a shit post, but Jesus Christ, this one trying to stir up some controversy here, aren't you? On to the next one. Up next, a franchise I love, Friday the 13th. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday is one of my least favorite movies of all time. Calling it a movie is pretty difficult. Has virtually no structure. It's just people doing things on a screen that amount to absolutely nothing. This person thought they'd give it 5 stars and say, best of the franchise, the GOAT. No, it's definitely not the best of the franchise. I think the average score on Letterboxd to this movie is like a 1.8. It is absolute trash in every way, shape, and form. I feel like this is one of those movies that if you're going to say you love it, you're just grasping at straws at this point and saying like, oh my God, I want to love this movie because it's so different and it's so out of the realm of normal. And maybe you do genuinely find something to enjoy in it. Some movies it's really hard for me to even wrap my brain around because I'm a pretty objective thinker when it comes to films. And even when I don't enjoy movies, I'm oftentimes trying to think, what would a person like about this movie? Okay, they can like this. They like this element of the performance. They like this element of this. And this is just a movie that I don't understand whatsoever what you're enjoying about it. But hey, you do you enjoy what you like, and that's that. So that was the last film Do you agree with these people? Do you think these movies deserve 5-star reviews? These are, in my opinion, some of the worst movies I've ever seen, but you let me know in the comments what you think. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.